The New York Mets have signed a player that is most likely going to be a starter for them, as this morning they signed Harrison Bader. If you like this video reacting to the latest Mets news, make sure to hit the like button at the ballpark. Slide into the comment section. What are your thoughts on the Harrison Bader signing? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? What are the moves should the Mets make after getting Bader? And if you're new here, really want to help out the channel, make my day, you could subscribe. It is greatly appreciated. And if you're subscribed already, you know the drill. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a stranger, tell a pet, tell Darth Vader. I mean, you can make an email address for them and subscribe to the channel. Any support I get is always greatly appreciated. So I want to thank all of you for that. So let's talk about the signing. So in my videos, I've been talking a lot about, the Mets need to add an outfielder because right now you have Brandon Nimmo out there, you maybe have Starling Marte, and you just have a hole in that other outfield spot. I was of the mindset that I thought the New York Mets should target a left fielder to be a guy who's a power bat, and because I felt that Brandon Nimmo has definitely improved a lot in center field. I mean, that goes without saying. The numbers back that up. And originally, I was one of the many people who thought, maybe Brandon Nimmo isn't the center fielder. And he definitely proved me wrong these past couple of years. But following the acquisition of Harrison Bader, a guy who really the only thing he has going for him is his defense and his speed, you kind of get the sense that Harrison Bader is going to be the one in center field. And then Brandon Nimmo is going to take over in that left field spot. So the Mets are able to address left field by moving their center fielder over. And with Starling Marte actually playing baseball this week, that makes me feel a little better about the uncertainty surrounding him and his health. Just the fact of him actually being on the field, I think was my main concern. And it looks like if everything stays the way it is, Starling Marte should be out there. So the Mets actually have a starting outfield now. Now, Harrison Bader is not someone that I've talked about. He wasn't in my Christmas wish list. He's just not someone I've really been mentioning just because he was not my first choice, obviously. I talked about the two things that I wanted for the Mets in the outfield was offense, particularly a power hitter, and number two, a guy who has a lot of durability and could play a lot of games, because even with Starling Marte on the field, I was still very uncertain about, will he be able to stay on the field? I mean, that is my main concern with Starling Marte, so that if he goes down, do you have a guy who does not have an injury history to replace him so that he could take over? But Harrison Bader, you definitely could make the case that his health history is even worse than Starling Marte. So I just didn't think he'd be the perfect fit for a team who already had one guy in their outfield who was very injury prone. I don't think that adding another guy who has injury history is a good complement to Starling Marte. And I would be more okay with having a guy who has injury history if he was someone who's a great hitter, but that is not the case with Harrison Bader. The past couple of years, the guy can't even get an OPS over 700. Now, yes, Bader did have a good playoff run for the Yankees a couple of years ago. And that was a couple of years ago. It was a small sample size. Yes, it was in the playoffs where it matters most. Don't get me wrong. I definitely want guys who could succeed in the postseason. But ideally, if also they could be at least decent, at least average during the regular season, that would be nice as well. I'm not asking for the world here. I'm not asking for this guy to be a 30 home run bat, to be a guy who gives you OPS near 900, 850. Can I at least get OPS close to 800? Is that really too much to ask for? I have a starting player when I already have the uncertainty of Brett Beatty at third base with the struggles that Jeff McNeil had last season, and they still have a hole at DH, which we'll get to later on in this video. Now, I understand that David Stearns really values what he calls run prevention, and he really values defense. And I'm not knocking that philosophy. I understand it. Obviously, you want a team that could field well, but I think that you have to look at this particular team and what they struggled with last season. It wasn't defense. I don't think that you said, you know what? The Mets had a really disappointing year last year. They spent so much money, and there were several games under 500, didn't make the playoffs, and you know why? It was because their outfield defense. That's what we got to address. We got to make sure that we get a really good center fielder in there who can't hit, and that will all of a sudden make the Mets a playoff team. I just didn't think that was one of the moves that needed to be made in order to really get this team on track. Again, I understand in general wanting to address your defense, but I think for this team right now, center field defense was not a big priority. I think that offense, I would have much rather the Mets had gone with a guy who's much more offensive heavy and on defense compared to a guy who's very good on defense and on offense. That's just my opinion based off of watching this team 162 games. And that's the other thing that bothers me. Can you even get 100 games out of Harrison Bader? And I don't want to hear, oh, well, you have Bader and with a great speed, and oh, you have Tyrone Taylor. I mean, again, are we serious, guys? I mean, do we really think that you could feel good about outfield that's Harrison Bader, Tyrone Taylor, DJ Stewart. I mean, are we serious now? You think these are guys that are actually going to be able to get the job done for you every game, are going to be able to kind of contribute for you, actually be a quality team and be like the Atlanta Braves and the Phillies? Come on now. And I just don't want to see this team end up in a situation where it's like, you know what? Oh, we got to call up Drew Gilbert, or maybe we have to call up Luis Angel Acuna, or maybe we have to call up Jet Williams because none of our outfielders could get the job done, when you knew that you had an outfield problem going into the offseason and you addressed it with Harrison Bader. And I understand the Mets, outside of Yamamoto, don't want to give a multi-year deal to anybody. I mean, okay, if that's the approach you want to take. But again, as far as guys who fit, I thought Teoscar Hernandez was a great fit for this team. I still think that Jorge Soler is a fit. I just felt that there were other alternatives to Harrison Bader. Again, we'll see how it goes. But for me, I think that if he could actually be a quality offensive player and tap into the little playoff run he had with the Yankees, and the big if he could stay healthy, if you have two very big ifs, the most important things, health and offense, for a guy who to be your starting player, then maybe he shouldn't be a starting player for your team. And again, obviously there is more to be done, particularly in the starting rotation. We've talked about it constantly. The Mets, they've been looking at some guys. Again, I think they're just going to go with another 1 year random reclamation project. That's just the sense I get. We know they're not getting Blake Snell. They're not getting Jordan Montgomery. It seems like they're priced out on Shota Imanaga. Are they going to make a big trade and give up prospects for a frontline starting pitcher? Doesn't seem likely right now. So again, they'll probably take a 1 year deal there, maybe another reliever or two. And then again, I would like to see a real DH. So if that is JD Martinez, again, I feel like Jorge Soler is the number one guy that they should be targeting right now with this current team that they have that's so important on defense. At least give me a power bat in this lineup, please. So I think Jorge Soler is a great fit. And again, I just yet to be impressed with the moves that David Stearns has made. I just see a lot of former Yankees. I see a lot of reclamation projects. I see a lot of guys who are past their prime. I see guys with injury history. I just see a lot of things that, for me, I don't think they should be targeting. But again, David Stearns, he's the guy that we all wanted. He's supposed to know everything and make these great baseball teams. So again, he's the one that has the job, not me. So I respect that. And we'll see how it plays out. I just think, from my opinion, if I'm being frank about it, I don't like the way the offseason has gone so far. I just don't think that any of these guys are needle movers. I don't think any of these guys could all of a sudden turn the Mets from an under 500 team to above 500 team. I think that this team, if they are going to be successful this season as currently constructed, which again, they will add other players. I'm not doubting that, but I don't think they're going to add anyone major. So with a couple other, veterans that they add and things like that, I feel that if the Mets are going to have any chance to actually be a playoff team this year, it's going to come from growth from within, from guys who didn't get the job done last year. It's going to come down to Starling Marte being healthy and being closer to the guy he was 2 years ago. Same goes for Jeff McNeil and for Brett Beatty to figure it out. That's the only way I could see, with the moves the Mets have made and the moves that they likely will make, again, unless they do something big, which I really don't see it right now, for them to be a successful team. So let me know what you guys think. Again, be on the lookout for a big prospects video coming out January 10th, my yearly Untouchable Mets prospects video. It's a video I love doing. It always gets great support from you guys. And until next one, be safe, be smart, be healthy, and let's go Mets. Please give me some legitimate power bats.